Our next topic today is the topic self-reflection. And in order to come up and introduce this topic, I'm going to ask our president, Jonathan Strebly, to come forward and give us a short presentation.
Thank you. Gotcha. Thank you. And by short, she means I'm going to take as long as I like. I'm going to take advantage of my last 2 days as being president. Thanks again for being here. I really appreciate this. And as the first session in regards to our platform meeting today is around self-reflection and what that means to us as a designer and as a design community. I love this statement. It allows us to reflect on doing no harm, or what is the power of design, and how do we utilize and implement that power. Papanek was confronting designers with the environmental impacts of their choices, realizing that a small choice, repeated in a production run of hundreds or thousands, has very tangible impacts. We can think about the idea of how easy it is to make a splash. You throw a rock in a pond and suddenly there's an explosion of water coming up. But there's all those ripples that then are created afterwards. And those ripples then hit something in some way. And it may seem insignificant, but there's this trail, and there's that opportunity to then ask any decision we make in design, at what cost? What is those long-running ripple effects to any splash we make? As designers, we're making these choices on behalf of consumers, end users, clients. It's a synonymous word for those that we're affecting. I like the word citizens. We're all part of a community. We're citizens of a community, and the decisions we make to their benefit is the intention. And sometimes, unintentionally or unknown to us, we can cause harm. Today, we're now accepting that and realizing that how far-reaching the impacts of bad design really is. So exactly what is good design? Everyone has an opinion about what makes design good. Every one of you sitting here right now is saying, oh, I know exactly what good design is. But do we? And let's challenge it, and let's continue to challenge that. In our discussions with the EcoD board and our members preparing our code of conduct, we discovered that at the council, we make a distinction between something that is well designed, where the designing is effective and achieves the desired outcomes, and what is good design. By our definition of the term, something well designed can be not good. Because we define the professional standing of a designer by their commitment to the quality of the work and its impacts on society, and not just whether their clients are happy and they are earning well or the bottom line of their return, we define good design, a design that takes into account not only the quality of the designing, but the social, cultural, and environmental impacts of the design, understanding the ripple effect. So, great question. Does that mean that there is not good design? Emphatically, yes, it absolutely exists. And sometimes it's actually done by prize-winning designers. These ones that are being accoladed and awarded for their work, but it actually has a ripple effect of negativity that can actually change the intention, but also have an effect that no one was actually expecting. But we need to try to be ahead of that and prepare for that. So why is it important to make this distinction between good and bad design? Because not good design makes some people's lives worse. It's not what we intend to do, but we have to be cognizant that we are responsible and complicit for a lot of these actions. Thus the self-reflection, thus the opportunity to stop looking at the horizon we're chasing, but to pause, turn around, and see how far we've come and what we've done. As professionals, we might still choose to produce beautiful, successful design that is not good, but we should be deeply aware of the implications of our choices at every stage of the process. At the very least, as a body of professionals, we must make these distinctions for ourselves, because it is the not good design that hurts the profession's reputation. If we wish to be seen as professionals, as individual professionals, we do that understanding that the industry as a profession is what can be damaged by the creations of individuals. In her 2021 book, Design for Safety, Eva Penzimug exposed how smart products for the home and tracking technology, not unlike the Apple tags shown here, can enable abuse. Used to stalk and terrorize victims, these technologies are not evil. They simply fail to take into account human behavior. She reminds us that when we fail to explicitly design for vulnerable users, we unintentionally prioritize their abusers. Let's just sit on that for a second. When we fail to explicitly design for vulnerable users, we unintentionally prioritize their abusers. That opportunity to reflect on not just who we are intentionally designing for, but who we may unintentionally affect. These are effective, as most things are, a pleasure to use, and could be extremely practical. But they have unintended social impacts that can make the lives of some people distinctly worse. By definition, they have failed to be good. I need more arms, remote mic paper. Advertising is an area in which many designers create excellent work. We create and communicate ideals for people to aspire to. We create hype to sell products and lifestyles. We celebrate these moments. We celebrate the opportunity to celebrate. We're good at it. The ad industry does very well and has huge impacts on consumption, social mores, and plays a part in determining culture. This ability is one that can be used to produce other outcomes. Just as we should be aware of the possible not good outcomes, we should not discount the importance of these skills and the potential for other applications. I would like to briefly touch on the issues of manipulation and opportunism as they pertain to our profession. Increasingly, in popular culture, there exists a mistrust of design that has been rightly earned as a consequence of our business practices. For decades, we have participated in a manipulation created by marketing specialists called planned obsolescence. Every one of you got an ad for the Apple 14, and my immediate response was to go online and order, and I caught myself going, but I have a brand new phone that I'm ordering this other phone from. And so that question of when and how and why needs to be in play. Consumption is an overbearing element and a result of producers deciding what we as designers create and market. We touched on this a lot yesterday in the conversation at the forum. We'll be touching on it again over and over as we realize that we, as designers, for too long, have been the servants of producers. And all of us are here under an obligation to ensure that we are ambassadors for the end user, consumer, client, citizen, whichever synonym you wish to use. The idea of planned obsolescence. This practice has become increasingly pernicious in the world of electronics, where a new, better device is launched every few months. The example of me wanting to order another phone. We, the collective of industrial designers, UI, UX designers, graphic designers, and more, have become increasingly good at knowing our target markets, sometimes better than they know themselves. And we use this to create ever-changing needs. These needs create a healthy economy, but at the expense of a healthy society and planet. Once again, understanding on self-reflectance and self-awareness is that we are complicit in a lot of the damage that is being done in a consumerist profile. There is a line between knowing the user well enough to give them a pleasurable, seamless experience and manipulating them into behaviors they are not even aware of they are performing. This is the ripple. We know how to make a splash. We celebrate and award and celebrate them. But we must be cognizant and constantly aware that we are creating other elements that affect others. And it's not always immediately. There's a timeline to everything we produce. So constantly look at your criteria of design, consider that ripple effect, and make that part of our observations and our goals in our process to ensure that we are considering those that we may unintentionally affect. Self-reflectance, self-awareness, understanding that we support the profession by elevating it and ensuring no harm and ensuring that we consider all aspects of the impact of design, because it is powerful and it's within our construct and our power to control. And if we wish our profession to be deemed something of respect, trust, and necessity, we need to ensure that we are considering the values and the needs of all in everything we do as best we can. Thank you. I have no more notes.
We'll conclude on this. So I'll do the final conclusion because this is an introduction to Michelle. So what Jonathan presented is kind of a line of thinking that we've kind of been going through as Jonathan said, as we're developing the code of conduct, as we're developing our thinking on what professionalism is, as we're developing our thinking on, how design's reputation is going to be used in order to ensure that we can use design in more and more places. And we felt that the first step was this idea, know yourself, understand where the fault lines are so you can better react. So the why is Jonathan being so negative? It's not negativity. I think we just have to be honest with ourselves where the friction points are, because this is going to lead us to the next conversation with Michelle. But the conclusion that we really come to at the end, and you'll probably be familiar with this sentence from our professional code of conduct, is a shared professional ethos and a sense of common cause is what makes us a profession, and not just, people who are doing jobs, people who are enacting for somebody else. And I think this is kind of the core of the council's view on how we as designers are going to be respected and position ourselves in ways that we can have better impacts. Because I think that's always been the challenge, that we know that we can do good, not just, building websites or making chairs. As we saw yesterday at the event, I mean, there's so many ways in which design can be, improve cities and improve the way systems are made and improved, other things beyond the very, well-known applications that we have. So, starting with this whole idea of, okay, we've looked at ourselves, we've been self-critical, we've kind of seen the points in which we might have lost a bit the faith of the general public. The next question is one of hope, because I think for us, the last 3 years have been filled with this kind of feeling. I don't know how many of you guys were participating in World Design Day and International Design Day last year. Our theme was suspended in transition. It's like there was a clear break, and most of the world in the last 3 years has taken a chance to kind of rethink things. So many things have changed in the way that we work, in the way that our societies are, and the expectations that we have of our work, of our the countries and regions of which we're citizens. But there is an element in all that disruption that is a potential for things to start to change actually rather quickly. I mean, we've seen things change rather quickly. So the next step, I'm going to actually let Michelle come up and moderate, is this topic, which is the jumping off point of the last. I mean, once we've looked in, let's start to imagine what the future looks like. So Michelle?
Fabulous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, I warned some of you at the break that I'm going to be calling on you. So now is the point where everyone's going to wake up and engage and chat and not be afraid. So thanks again for having me here and leading this conversation. I want to reiterate some things that have been talked about and repeated over the last few days. A professional thinks of themselves first and foremost at the service of society. We talk about professionalism, and this is not just about being an expert at what you do. It's about actually being considerate of the work that you're doing at service of society in small and large ways. And when we're thinking about that as our role, there really is a need for hope. There's a need to be thinking larger and beyond ourselves and thinking of a future that's greater. So again, so the act of designing is inherently hopeful. Reduced to a fundamental essence, designing is imagining ideal futures in order to build them. Now, for those of you who were able to see Maxim talk yesterday, that didn't become more prevalent than listening to him speak about the position that his agency has in the Ukraine and the work that they're doing to help rebuild the cities. So with that, here we go. We're going to start in the middle. So I'd like to ask the group, what are you hopeful about as a creative and as an individual? Gediminas, you look like you're ready to say something. Liz is going to come bring a microphone to you.
No, well, it's Can you ask again?
Sure. We're going to start general. What are you hopeful about?
Yeah, it's a very hard question. Anyway, during this years, as you talked with, that we have these changes in the all society relations, and so of course there are a lot of maybe bad things, but also a lot of good things. We tried to communicate in new ways, and I think that it is quite good to look. Also, it gave some possibilities to use these some called new technologies, and I think that it is really good, especially in the teaching and with the students and so on. And well, about the science of changing profession, it's difficult to say to me now for the first. But well, maybe later I can add something else.
Absolutely, thank you. And technology is, I think, we were talking with Celia earlier about the clash of design and technology and the need to constantly learn. So Celia, did you want to add a bit on the hopefulness that you see with the combination of the two? Putting you on the spot, I warned you.
Yes. No, perhaps I should. So I don't want to deal so much technology, but most taking my notes, considering people behavior and how the technology has changed. We are living in a quite different media environment nowadays, so it gives. I don't go very deeply to technology and don't know very much about it, but I have noticed that designers must have different kind of skills when they design, for instance, advertising campaigns, because they are spread to different media, and we have to have new kind of knowledge how they are seen and what kind of possibilities, what is the expressing potential in each media. So I think our field of knowledge has broadened lately rather a lot, and also we have to take advantage from knowledge coming from other fields. For instance, how people behave and how their brains are working and so on. So networking and getting used to work together. Sorry for long comment.
No, that was fantastic. Thank you.
Coming so much into my mind while speaking.
No,
But perhaps
great.
somebody continues. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes. Russell first, and then I'll hop over to Dorothy and Unique.
Yeah, what are we hopeful about? There's a couple of things. I think the biggest thing was touched on this morning about the shift from a reactive industry to a proactive industry, and I think a profession where we can actually instead of responding to clients' needs, we can actually initiate and develop ideas and advance society with our own skills and benefits. So I think that's a really big shift, and I can see that happening already. The other area is technology, and I think technology is an important aspect of what we do, and we need to embrace it, and we need to understand that there is that creativity is the one and only thing that artificial intelligence can't replicate. So you can replicate a lot of other things, and can actually replace a lot of professions. But I say at this stage, it can't replicate creativity. So that just reinforces an optimistic future for design.
Thank you. I know Rebecca's been talking about artificial intelligence over the weekend, so thank you. Dorothy, you had something to add?
Yes, I did. My takeaway and what I'm really hopeful about, and I'm going to bring it to South Africa, to the students and to my design professionals that I impact, and that is that we are ambassadors for the end user and not servants for the manufacturer. And Jonathan said that yesterday and again today, and it really has had an impact, and I'm really hopeful that I can take that back to my country and we can implement that in a powerful way, because it actually is the reverse at the moment, and also to educate our clients on that. You know, that it's not about more and more and more in consumerism, and also about the reuse and not more and more consumerism, because as interior designers and interior architects, we tend to focus on new and more new and more new, and what about the old? Because we just keep creating stuff. And then the second thing is I really liked about speaking to my colleagues here, to Russell and the other ones I've been chatting to, is the collaboration between different design disciplines. It really enlarged my mind to see how much is going on, whereas my mind was always focused so much on interior design, interior architecture, and just to be exposed to how much more collaboration can be done with the different design disciplines to give the end user, which is our clients, a far better product.
Yeah, collaboration requires openness and vulnerability, right? And which requires hope and positivity. So, yeah, really beautiful. Unique, I saw your hand go up as well.
Yeah, so good morning, everyone. My thought process, even more to kind of like piggyback off what Dorothy said, I personally am like really excited about how we are using technology today and how we are designing a more human-centric experience online. There was a time where, you know, technology kind of like separated people, and now we're kind of like using it to bridge a gap and create a more humanistic interaction online, which also really improves our ability to collaborate and work together and solve problems, which at that point, if we're, you know, putting all the best minds together, right, it's inevitable that we can solve any problem, because now we have all these different experiences from around the world. And I'm really hopeful about that. That's pretty exciting stuff.
Yes. I'll give this.
We're talking about technology, and I think very nice example is artificial intelligence and augmented reality. And not last week we had a conference about artificial intelligence and how it can help to replace technical works. Let's say if you have image and you need to augment more, it's very easy to do with artificial intelligence. So it replaces a lot of technical work and release free time for creativity, and helps for designers a lot, so they can do more focus on creative stuff and less on technical part, implementing or doing just cutting and stuff like this.
Nice. Yes, Jonas. And then Jonas, I want to say I'm really enjoying listening to you talk about the intention of design and not just using recycled products, but actually thinking about creating something better, and which makes me really hopeful.
When it was, I don't remember.
I think, well, you were actually asking us about our business cards. I'm like, why are we printing business cards? We could be doing other things that are, again, just always pushing that intent, and it's really wonderful.
Yeah. Please don't give me any business cards. It's kind of old school approach. So adding to that, artificial intelligence, and we also need to keep in mind all the goals. For example, in the Europe, the 2050 goal to be the zero emission continent. So and it's not only Europe, right? It's the global thing, and the circular economy, circular design, right? So what does it mean for us to kind of to catch up, to follow the concept and to understand what we can deliver in this context? And probably there is bunch of the contexts we need to understand where we are in, especially if we're talking about the end users, right? So what does it mean? But end users, people, citizens, as Jonathan mentioned, we can say that, well, it's easy, right? Let's be ambassadors of end users. Okay, yeah, but no. Starting from now, what does it mean? What skills I should kind of gain to deliver that? And as it was mentioned before, the business itself, those manufacturers is not, they are also the stakeholders of the same thing, right? We are not against them, we are with. And we also push to understand them better, right? To talk the same language, to be able to kind of sell this concept of what we are bringing here. Because we are still in the same economy, right? We're not, in this room probably there's not enough power to change the economy how it goes now, right? So we need to find how to say how to integrate probably this perception and to get most out of it in what in those principles we do have now. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Patrick, I was going to call on you next, so I'm glad you put your hand up.
When I hear, always when I hear a lot of things about focus on technology, I say, hey, let's take another standpoint. And particularly what I like as signs of change is the involvement of designers within social innovation. Innovation, it doesn't need to be technology, and particularly for design and designers, they can be involved in innovative strategy, processes, ways of doing things that are not technology. And I think that's something that is really important to stress. And one skills of that designers that I find that it's starting to be more used in other ways, it's visualization. Designers are the only one who have the ability to make visible systems that are impactful to us and make people realize and act upon them. So this is a skill that is more and more used. Another thing that we are always talking a lot about the impact of the material we use and the ecological impact of the material. It's more and more documented. It's more easy to make choices on the material that we use. But there's a great initiative by the Grace Farm Institute or Foundation in the US that is called Design for Freedom, and they have started to document the slavery that is embedded within the material that we use, so the social impact of the materials that we use. So this is also other way of thinking about the internal impact of the product that are designed. So there's starting to be a lot of ways of involving social inclusion, diversity within design that are also that give hopes.
And it's beautiful to me to think that when we're thinking about inclusive design, that it's really expanding, right? For me, the fact that even in Ramos' talk yesterday about gender and that there's 55 recognized genders, for me, it's beautiful. My daughter's transgender. So like the thought that like that's where our vision is expanding is really hopeful for me. So thank you. Jonathan? Oh.
We're at the end of our time, so.
Damn it.
I'd like to actually give Jonathan, or if there's anything.
Okay. Absolutely. Any final thoughts from anyone else in the room on hopefulness? David, yes, thank you.
Sorry, Anna. I think hearing what everybody is saying about hope, I think it's very interesting because designers are probably pathologically optimistic. I mean, it's almost, it seems to be in our DNA because otherwise we wouldn't do anything. We think we can do something better. And so that makes us a very optimistic group. And when we talk about technology or the social impact that was just mentioned, those aren't choices. Designers are integrators of technology, whether they want or not. And they have an impact on society, whether they want to or not. I think our challenge is to make sure that we realize that, and it creates an obligation, and that has to do with the definitions of how we see ourselves. So, and I think we can be hopeful about that.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone.